like to talk a little bit about Knoxville. So I guess we'll kind of get specific into the actual city more so than East Tennessee. I went down with my friend Connor, who's been on here. Weren't there for too long, but we went to a few bars. Preservation Pub, I think it's called Market Square is the
Oh
place
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Drove by the college. So what do you like about Knoxville? Not like about it? Anything else?
Sure. I actually, it's funny. I actually came to the University of Tennessee. I transferred actually at the end of my freshman year. I transferred to Tennessee, um, from Georgia Southern University, which is in Statesboro, Georgia, which is near the coast, of Georgia, near Savannah and all that. And my brother goes to the University of Georgia. I have a twin brother. He goes to the University of Georgia. And so this was, and he transferred after I did, by the way. We both transferred from Georgia Southern to these SEC schools, So for us, it was like going from sort of a big fish, small pond to small fish, big pond, It's just, it really was a quite of a shock to be in such a huge school like this. I mean, I don't know, you probably know, I don't have to tell you these huge SEC schools and, like Georgia and Tennessee, they're huge. They have I'm not just talking about sporting events, just student body wise, huge student bodies and huge campuses, and so a lot of the economy, I would say, in Knoxville is based around the University of Tennessee. I mean, it doesn't seem like, I don't think you can drive a mile or without running into something related to the university. Some property or some building or whatever. So I think that's pretty cool. I like the fact that the school has such a huge influence on the town, and I guess I call it a city, just because it's not, it's just cool. You get big orange tea everywhere, and it's just, it's neat. But on the other hand, I would say that one of the things I don't like about it is maybe Knoxville relies a little bit too much on the fact that it hosts the University of Tennessee, and it kind of, so you see a lot of small businesses try to start, and you'd like for them to thrive because you go to them and you see it in like restaurants I'm talking about and stuff like that, and sometimes they just fail because it's the case that a lot of the clientele are younger people, and then maybe they go home for the summer, and you see the amount of people that go into these restaurants is a lot lower, and so it seems like the town is real sensitive. The economy of Knoxville is really sensitive to shocks coming from a lack of customers or stuff like that coming from student body and stuff like that. I don't know. um
Yeah,
I'm thinking Knoxville
that's
particularly, not East
interesting.
Tennessee.
I'll just butt in real quick. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about that. We went end of May. It was like Memorial Day weekend, and so they're probably most of the students were gone, right?
Yeah, right.
So that's, I hadn't really thought about that, but there's probably, because I mean I knew they probably wouldn't be there, but I didn't really think this is like a massive college. So there's probably a good percentage of the city that's not even there.
Yeah, right. I mean, if you just, here's a good example for you. I mean, if you see the strip, where you got all these, you got coffee shop, bars, and restaurants, and that kind of thing. Usually during the semester, spring and fall, these are real bustle. Lots of people walking around, and you can't hardly. Traffic is awful after, especially after school gets out and that kind of thing. But during the summertime, it's like, oh my god, is this place a ghost town? Because it's just there's just so few people comparatively, you know, and that gets a little aggravating. If you're someone who like really likes to be places where there's a lot going on, maybe that gets a little irritating or aggravating. But for me, I'm kind of more of a low key person, so I don't really care. But I could definitely see how that might bother some people. The
Yeah,
population fluctuation
I
annually.
had not really thought about that at all, but that's very true. What would you say, best thing about Knoxville
Best
since
thing.
since you've been living there?
Well, if I'm going to give you the, probably the most genuine answer would, I mean, you're not talking to somebody who, I don't party or anything like that. You know what I mean? So I'm not the kind of person to talk to you about the bar scene or anything. I don't drink, or anything like that. So for me, it has a lot to do with just the environment, I would say. I mean, that's to say nothing of the climate or anything, but really, when in this area, you get real beautiful views. We're so near the mountains, and they're just they're beautiful parks. I mean, there's just so much natural beauty, and we're so near like Pigeon Forge, for instance, places like that. It's just a lot of real pretty places that are real proximal to here, And so I think that anybody could find something to do outside if they really wanted to badly enough. And so it's just a beautiful place, geographically speaking. I would say the beauty of the place.
That's what I like about the area. Yeah, is I live in Ohio, and
I'm sorry.
one thing I wish there was more of was like the rivers and stuff. I really like the rivers in Tennessee. Kayaking and stuff like that. Do you do any kayaking or canoeing?
I haven't had the opportunity to do that yet. Me and my fiance, we're planning to do. This pandemic has really prevented us from being able to do pretty much anything fun. And even going outside, it's just been harder to just find things to do. You don't want to do nothing like that in the wintertime or anything like that. But we're planning to do that sort of thing this summer. And I would really, really like to try doing that because I've heard it's a lot of fun, kayaking especially.
Yeah, so I really enjoy kayaking. We actually just went down to this place called Mohican Wilderness, and people were kayaking, canoeing. We actually a lot of people just float down the river, and we most of the time they do it in rafts. We just did them in canoes. We had a bunch of people just tie the canoes together in life jackets, and it's so popular because around here there's like nothing like that. You got Lake Erie, which is massive, but throughout the rest of the state, there's really nothing. So I really like that, and just like the scenery and stuff, like you said, the hiking. I've been to Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, Great Smoky Mountains. I've enjoyed all of that. What I don't know if you might have mentioned this. What's anything that you don't like about the city?
Don't like? I mean, if I would say for someone who's a bit more probably social than I am, probably the thing that would get on my nerves the most would be how when the semester ends, the city kind of dies down a little bit. And for some people like me, that's like a good thing because I'm not a big, I'm not big into the parties and anything like that. But like I told you, but probably for me, the biggest negative would be, if you're not into like, I don't know, it's kind of a hard question to answer. I don't want to say it's the perfect place to live because that sounds kind of like too idealistic, but honestly, it's kind of hard to find something that's bad about this place. I mean, I would say maybe there are some areas that are a little bit more rundown than others. If you veer too far away from campus and stuff, but even those areas aren't that bad, I mean, I've seen like I'm from Georgia, like I told you, and we have if you go to Atlanta, you'll see some real bad neighborhoods, but there's nothing even really like that here. It's just more or less just, not great neighborhoods, but they're not anything like, oh my God, we got to get out of here, but lock your doors. It's not like that. I really think Knoxville is a special place in that regard. I don't know that I would say there are many negatives that come onto mind immediately. Sorry.
That was my experience there. One thing I took away was that I didn't really see anything that was any bad areas. I mean,
yeah,
it wasn't like mansions everywhere, but I don't think I've really been. It's hard to go to a city and like not see some bad areas because it's just there's so many people. There's bound to be some rough areas, and I didn't see any there. So
it's interesting because I spoke to so I have I'm doing an internship, and one of my mentors, I was speaking to them yesterday. They went to a meeting in Knoxville last summer, I think, and they told me, they said, one of their flip-flops broke. They were out drinking at a bar and one of their flip-flops broke. And so she told me, she said, I just decided I was just going to go. She's from South Korea, by the way, just to give some context to this. She said, my flip-flop broke and I just figured I'd just walk back barefoot. And this is in the middle of the city. And she said she was shocked by how clean the streets were. Like there was literally, she said it was like nothing on the streets. It was so clean. And she said she's never seen another city like that where you could just walk barefoot in the city streets and feel like you weren't walking in something disgusting, And so I guess I did a real good job of upkeep, cleanliness wise here too. So that's something I really appreciate in general.
What I've heard some things about the weather a little bit. Any flooding or tornadoes that you've kind of experienced there?
Flooding, yeah, I will say I have experienced a bit of flooding before. Tornadoes, nah. One thing I will say is there are times, especially and maybe this is just my experience. Last semester, I remember, but it seemed like it would rain every other day. That's one thing I don't like. It seemed like rain was pretty frequent, and I'm not, I'm just someone, I hate the rain. I hate it. It puts me in a bad mood. If I wake up and it's raining, I know it's probably going to be a bad day. Bad day. So whenever it seemed to me like it rained a little bit too much, that's one thing I didn't like. And also the wintertime, hate the cold as well. I mean, I'm from Georgia. I'm not really used to bitter cold or bitter winters. And it snowed, and I'm not a huge fan of that either.
Oh man,
Yeah,
come up to
I just,
Cleveland.
yeah, right. I mean, that's why. I mean, everybody that I've ever talked to about like where I want, talk about where I want to settle down one day permanently, and I can never be anywhere in the north because I hate the cold. I hate it. I can't get up in the morning and have to deal with like scraping ice off my windshield. And I found myself doing that for the first time when I moved down here. I was having to scrape ice off my windshield in December. I was like, this sucks. Like I thought this was the South. I didn't know it was going to snow, but wasn't bad enough to where I wanted to leave. So I'm still here.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like the seasons, but if you get, Northern Ohio, very different than Southern Ohio. I don't live in Cleveland, but Northern Ohio, and if it snows in December, it might be there for a month, might be there 2 months, because it just stays so cold.
Right.
I don't like that. I don't like this. I don't like the cold just staying around forever. So I can deal with some snow and stuff in January and February, whatnot. But that's the thing I don't like around here is that March and April, they're kind of rough around here. A little underrated. It's not as cold as the dead of winter, but it's pretty boring, March and April around here because it's like it's still cold, so people don't really go outside, like it was like April and I wanted to play some putt golf, and all the stuff was closed. It doesn't open up till May, sometimes even June, because
Right.
it's too cold.
I hate that, man. You got to move down to the South, man. I don't know how you deal with it. I don't. Did you grow up in Ohio?
Yeah, I've lived in Ohio my whole life. I went to college, Southern Ohio, and so me and my girlfriend are looking at moving. So
Yeah. Well, look at the South because I don't know how you deal with these. I don't know how you could deal with the winters like y'all have up there in Ohio and stuff. It just sounds terrible.
I used to be I used to be a lot more into sports. Well, I like watching sports, but I used to be more of a competitive runner,
right.
in track and field, and so I didn't mind the cold much, like especially like if it's just kind of a little bit cold, because I would be running, and runners typically like the cold more than the heat. And over the years, I've just kind of flip flopped. I really like the heat a lot more now.
Yeah. It's just hard for me to be in a good mood when I wake up in the morning. I got to go to my car and it's 5 below outside. I don't know. Instant bad mood right there. Instant bad mood. I don't care if it was the best morning when I was inside. If I go outside and it's cold, instant bad mood. Hate it.
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed over the winter working from home. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So that was I don't anything else at all that they want to say about Knoxville, maybe the surrounding area, or anything that you feel like you should interesting to say?
Well, like I said before, geographically Knoxville it's really, to me at least, being from Georgia, it seems like it's a stone's throw away from other really interesting places. I mean, you're not that far from Lexington, Kentucky. If you want to go to Kentucky, you're not that far from even I've been driven through Ohio before, from Knoxville before, getting to Michigan, and I've been able to do it in a day, and it wasn't that bad at all. Atlanta, close, relatively, and really, so for someone who didn't want to come, I can't speak much for greater East Tennessee because I don't have a reason really to be there, unless we're talking about places like Pigeon Forge or something. But in general, if there's not something for you in Knoxville, there's at least something for you around Knoxville, and but I would still encourage people to visit just for the sake that Knoxville is just really, I think it's a great place, and I think people would find something they like here if they visit. So give it a try.
Yeah, that's another good thing is that Tennessee borders like the most states. I think it's tied with Missouri, and so there's a lot surrounding it. You've got Charlotte and Asheville and the other North Carolina cities there, Atlanta, Alabama,
Mhm.
and then there's a bunch of cities even in Tennessee. I've been to Nashville, haven't been to Memphis or Chattanooga yet. Any thoughts on Chattanooga? I've heard some good things about that. Have you been there?
Yeah. I've been to Memphis and wasn't a fan of Memphis. Drove through Nashville, hadn't been, I have been to Chattanooga. I've been through Chattanooga, haven't been to Chattanooga. So really, Memphis is the only place I've been in, and I didn't really like it. To be honest with you, Knoxville beats them all, in my opinion.